Hey everyone, finally making some time to work on my own car. Not that I really have the time to do it right now, but I have to. We've got an event coming up in about 4 weeks time. I bought myself some new wheels and tyres. They're still the old tyres at the moment, I haven't swapped them over yet. Replacing these ones. And I knew it before I bought them that I'm going to have to modify the guards to fit them in. So here's some that I've prepared earlier. Just fibreglass Twincam guards. The ones that are on there now are steel guards off a Mark II. Just the eyebrow section. That's still Mark 1. So, roughly speaking, they come up a lot higher and give a lot more clearance than the standard cards. It's got to go a bit further forward than that. So, first thing I've got to do is get up in the air, get all the existing wheels off it, take the bumpers off it as well. Just got to play around down the bottom there, I think. Actually, even if it doesn't get modified, it just gets used for alignment. There's that dimple that's on the front of the guard there, goes in where the bumper bar mounts off. So I've had a few people ask me questions about what the car is and what kind of racing I do. It's mainly just for sprints and hill climbs, which is the one car on the track at a time versus versus the clock. It's just one of the last of the Mark 1 Escorts, 1975 model. With an old 1600 pushrod in it. I've had the car since about 2010 and started competing in it in 2012. It's been slowly built up ever since. Twin 45s. It's 1600s, just a 60 thou over, nothing special on it, just a balanced bottom end. Single valve springs in it, and a Kent BCF3 cam, which they class as a fast road / rally cam. And the exhaust extractors there that I've made myself a few years ago now. And it's a very reliable car. The struts that are in it are Capri struts. I'll give you a look at those underneath once I've got it up in the air and the wheels off it. Gearbox is just a Sierra 5-speed, which with a few little tunnel modifications essentially bolts straight in. And a roll cage in it that I built up myself a few years ago. Race seat, run the fuel lines, you're allowed to run fuel lines and that through the car. Keeps them away from the underside of the car. Battery and a fire extinguisher. The diff is just a Mark II Escort diff with a clutch pack LSD in it. Running 5.1 gears in it at the moment. With these, I was actually going to put a 4.9 in it, but now that running these wheels and tyres, they're 15-inch rims there now. They're quite a bit different in size than the original 13x7s that I'm running, so it's going to have the same effect as changing the gear ratio. Maybe down to a 4.9. I haven't done the calculations yet. That's what I was going to try in it anyway. Runs out of revs in a couple of places. Only revs to about 7,500, so it's a good fun little machine, and it's fairly cheap to keep running. You don't have to buy tyres for it very often. Just throw fuel in it and off we go. Anyway, I've got to get to work on it. Just in the process now of putting it up on stands. Trying to get ones under the back. I just tend to jack it up until the sills comes in level. or close enough to it anyway. That way I can use the ground as a datum. Make sure it's the same on the other side, a level crossways as well. Set it back on there. It's probably not too bad side by side, side to side. Seems to be sitting flat there anyway. So in the front we've just got ones that I can wind up until they get up to the body. Whereas the ones on the back are just a fixed height. I've already measured across the top of the arch on both sides and it's the same. I'll get under there in a minute and measure up to the chassis to see if it's the same on both sides. And then it's not a bad place to start level wise. So the struts that I'm running on it are Mark 1 Capri, running with the Coney double adjustable insert and some adjustable sleeves for the springs to sit on. I'm running 300 pound springs in it at the moment, which seems to be fairly good. It's got some Group 4 style alloy hubs on it. Makes that face sit out about 10mm further out than the standard hubs. And just Mark 2 Escort brakes. You need to run a special bolt, or in our case we're running a bolt with a sleeve to make the Mark II calipers up to the Capri struts, because the Capri struts are old imperial thread, whereas the Mark II stuff was metric. Likewise the steering rack that's on it's a quick rack, 2.5 turns lock to lock. It's out of a Mark II as well, so it's got a special tie rod end that adapts the Mark II rack to the Capri taper. And just a standard 20, I think you're about 21mm Twincam sway bar. It's adjustable. Adjustable just via the amount of shims that you put in behind it, just washes. So the first thing I'm going to do here now is take these springs out and then put it back together. That way I can move this up and down to test all the different suspension travel points with the wheel on it once I've got the guard ready to be fixed back on. That way I know it's going to miss, hopefully. The last thing I did today was make up these little pieces for the hubs so that I can measure forward from the centre of the diff towards the front. I had an issue with the wheel on this side. The new wheel on this side was hitting the guard more than the one on the other side. The other side was quite free, so I thought this whole side of the hub might have been, the whole suspension might have been forward a little bit. So I made up these, one for this side and one for the driver's side as well. And checked them for straightness on the lathe. They're pretty good. And also dropped a plumb bob down, put a mark on the ground, turned the diff through 180 degrees, and both marks lined up, so I know these are pretty good. And I measured down both sides and they're the same, so it just means that I'm going to have to put the guard on this side back exactly where it is, because it had good clearance. The one on the other side I'll move forward a touch. I'll put the wheels on and measure it anyway once it's on there, but it just gives me a better idea that the suspension's actually straight and it's the body that's crooked. Okay, the first step in getting these struts off is to undo these locking nuts here. Let's see, we'll try to get that one to go that way. I'm going to come back this way. And yes, there can be some swearing associated with this process. This just takes the load off the spring. I've I've already measured up how far these are sitting so that I can put them back in the same spot. Okay, so I decided not to bore you with winding that whole seat down. That's essentially what happens. That little spring in there is just, they call it a tender spring. What that does is it keeps pressure on the mainspring when the suspension's on full droop, just to stop the spring from flopping around. I've just had a thought, I might be able to get enough suspension travel with this just wound right down here, save me taking the whole spring off it. And when I've finished, I'll just wind it back up again. I've got the jack here under it, so I'll push it up now to see if I can get full suspension travel. Okay, you can just hear it coming off the stand there now, so see how that spring's compressed up there now. And that suspension's just on the bump stop there now, so it's probably not far off its maximum travel. Okay, I've got the bumpers off there now, so I can bring this up and have a look at it. That's not too bad. I want to try and keep everything below, all the changes below that line there, because I can mask up to that and just paint the bottom. It's only done in acrylic at the moment, so it's nothing fancy, nothing special. That sort of matches up with that. All that'll be getting trimmed off, and I'll just work with the arch itself. So first thing to do will be to get that into some sort of reasonable position, mark around the inside there so I know where it's coming to, and then trim this back as far as I think I need to go. That'll get rid of all that out of the way. Then I can work back from there and put a mark around the outside of it, a mark on there, and then move it inwards a bit to know where to cut. There's already a couple of layers of steel on there from where I've welded this onto that guard, the original guard. Anyway, time to start doing. I've done some quick measurements down both sides. The distance between here and here is the same on both of the guards. The distance between the diff centre and here is different by 10mm. This side's 10mm further forward than the other side. And I can see that the old tyre's been rubbing on this part of the guard here where it's all burnt. So what I might end up doing is taking this back about 5mm and maybe bringing the other side forward 5mm. Let's put some tape up there to stop that top bit from getting too scratched up. There's a little kink in the thing there which should originally line up with that style line in the body. So if I start with it about there, I think it's not going to be too bad. I'll leave a fair bit there so I can move it around once I've done the cutout in the guard. But for now, just Might remind me to bring that up a little bit. I can start it at that and get the wheel on there once I've cut it out and make sure it all clears. There'll be a lot of fitting, trimming, cutting, refitting, swearing, all that kind of stuff.